Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome aboard the Jester's Fiat for the Team Jacked podcast. I am your host, Raymond McNeil, and joining me, as always, is the wonderful Twilight Guardian.
Hello. I am feeling a lot better now.
Yeah.
Thankfully, yeah.
And joining us, as always, as well, is the profuse Kaiser Shonen.
You calling me sweaty? I'm a robot. I can't do that, dog.
You can sweat oil. It's fine.
Yeah, it's a new technology to robots. Don't worry about it.
There may be some difficulties there. I noticed that the chat box wasn't activating properly, and I'm modifying it now. But that's it's small little things. As long as everything else is functional, I'll be happy. Let's go to font size 18. There we go. That should be a nice and healthy level. But yes, hello everyone. Welcome aboard the new format for the show. I've been having this made for a little while now, and it's finally here. I'm so happy to have it. This is the Jester's Fiat. It's an airship, travels around the world. It's very fun. And it's a lot roomier than the last format, where everyone was just kind of stuffed together on the same plane. Now I can just modify everyone, put them wherever I need. It's very nice. No more smiling friends. Yeah, we're not going to stick on that forever. It's okay. We can.
Yeah, Jacked Friends is gonna be postponed until we can get Twilight to join in.
But no, we just got to go to Brazil. But yeah, no, I thought it'd be a fun reinvigoration, a new format to show off. I think it'd be a lot of fun for everyone, and it also comes with a bit of a twist where channel memberships are now open. If you want, you can go down to the join button down. I'm pretty sure it's up. I hope it's appeared. It should be active. And if you do, you will get a nice little logo next to your name indicating your rank. Because yes, you are now all inducted into the crew of the Jester's Fiat. You are the crew chat. So you can...
Hell yeah.
So you can work your way up from recruit all the way up to... I'm pretty sure I called it honorary raptor. We have a couple of steps in there. They're all fun little steps. But yes, I'm just very excited to have this. Very excited to get more people on the podcast so I can have them arrange them around the table. It's gonna be fun. But yes, today is not a coverage of Arcane. I Know Nothing, who is our main issue man, could not join us today, so we decided to postpone that, and instead we're going to cover a slightly different topic. We are going to be covering the nastiness of sexisms in My Hero Academia. And if you can tell from my tone of voice, my opinion on such a take.
Right. It is. It's something that's been rolling around for a good while. For a good while when it comes to the show.
Yeah.
Like, I can. Oh, where are you talking? Oh no, you're not. You're just glowing. My bad. No. I just saw your circle glowing in Discord, so I thought, oh, I was interrupting you again. But no, this isn't the case this time. But yeah, freaking. People have been kind of weird in regards to their feelings about the female characters in My Hero for the longest time. In some cases I understand, in other cases I'm just like, okay, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I have like an idea of why people say that, and that's because around the time when these discussions really got off the ground for the MHA fandom, that was just in general, there was a big discussion, specifically in the Twitter sphere, for the anime community in general, just talking about sexism in general being in anime.
Oh yeah.
And your mileage may vary depending on the series, depending on the time period, depending on just a lot of different factors. I just don't think that it's fair to blanket statement that all anime is sexist because it's from Japan.
Or the whole of this anime is sexist. Like, at most, you can probably argue that, like, it has sexist elements to it, but nothing that I would say would, like, largely damage the show.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, there are moments of it, but, like, we'll get into it, but there's also the opposite for the male characters as well. Like, honestly, My Hero ends up being relatively egalitarian. I don't understand where this whole sexism claim is coming from. There are several prominent female characters that all get to kick ass, take names, and also play a prominent role in events. So, I mean, I will be interested to hear the arguments. Now, I guess a word of forward is all of us have finished the series in the manga. We know everything up through chapter 431, which is the final epilogue.
Okay, and another thing to keep in mind is I just checked. This video is 3 years ago.
Yes, that was a thing I am aware of. Is this is an older video, which I mean I would be interested to hear if she still thinks this. But even then, I find this to be kind of a ludicrous statement from like the time period she made it.
Yeah, the one thing that I've noticed in a lot of criticism when it comes to feminist takes or just egalitarian takes in general is usually there's a sort of infantilization of women. Like if a woman is if a woman is treated bad in any kind of capacity at all, then suddenly the author is sexist, the manga, the TV show, whatever is sexist. That is why you get a lot of people complaining about people who whine about Mary Sue's, how people trying to argue how characters should be overpowered because they're female characters and all that kind of stuff. It does just essentially come down to infantilization of women and saying that women shouldn't have to go through the same hardships as men in stories, or else it is considered sexism, which is in and of itself a very sexist take.
Sexist.
Well,
because you're saying that women can't handle the same things that men go through in stories.
Yeah, that's some horseshoe shit.
Is Horikoshi weird with his female characters? Honestly, yes, but that doesn't mean he's sexist. But how is he weird with his female characters? He's no weirder than any other mangaka, so I don't know if he's really an outlier. So calling him weird as opposed to par for the course. But I was going to say... So this is from 3 years ago. Are you going to refrain from MHA Season 8 spoilers? I haven't read the manga. I don't think we're going to be holding back, unfortunately. I think that's like a... We'll do our best, but I can't guarantee the safety of spoilers.
I think it depends on what's being shown here, really.
Yeah, I doubt we're going to bring up anything that occurs like after whatever point this video is talking about if it's not relevant directly.
Oh, we'll get trust me, I believe we're going to touch on Momo's costume. Also, Tatiana was like, what do you, can anything by your definition be sexist? What is your definition by sexist? What can anything be sexist? It's like, yeah, things can be. Yeah, like that's absolutely, because discrimination on the whole exists. People can discriminate for any number of things. There's rational, quote unquote, reasons that people discriminate, wherein they have like learned experiences and it's shaped them as people, which is unfortunate, but it's a real thing that does happen. And there's irrational ones where it's either a learned behavior from a parental figure or through cultural zeitgeist, that sort of thing. And then there's also just some people have weird inclinations one way or the other. You can certainly discriminate based on those factors, and discriminating on someone's sex is certainly something that can and does happen.
I think they're asking specifically in terms of media, not just in general.
Well, yeah, I was going to get down to that then. And then, in general, that's sexism. When it comes down to media, there is the question of parody. I think that needs to be very carefully, put off to the side in terms of, there will be characters like the dumb blonde bimbo, like you get that as a parody, and that's since, you know, ancient Rome. We can put that off to the side.
Yeah, because that's obviously a joke.
Yeah, obviously a joke, and there are some characters that are easier to tell as parody than others. And then we get to characters that are played straight and don't have any extra depth to them and are only leaning into a stereotype. I typically call that more stereotyping. And then sexism can also be something like fan service, which absolutely can be sexist, especially if it's one way or the other. So it's not that you can't. I find it sometimes hard to prove, especially because like a lot of sexism comes with intent. You gotta prove intent on the hand of the author, or otherwise somehow prove that there is an unconscious bias. But again, those things are very difficult to actually prove. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm not saying they're not there, but
it's worth discussing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I am fully understanding that, like, okay, you can discuss like specific attributes or say that disproportionately in X story the female characters are treated in this way, in a way that the male characters just aren't, and that can be bad for this or that reason. And if it's explained well, that's perfectly fine. The problem is that a lot of these people don't talk about that in any sort of nuance, and they use the same few examples every time, and it just gets fucking boring.
So Raymond was doing his best politician impression by dancing around the topic, though Tatiana did ask for a specific example, and I can give one. Cage of Eden, I consider to be
oh god, yes.
Manga.
Sorry, and also, did she ask for? Where did she ask? It might have been a follow up.
Yeah, it was a follow up.
Okay.
Can you give an example of something that you would call sexist in a piece of media?
Oh god, I'm trying to like rack my brain for it.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Let
me think. Let me look at my.
Because really, a lot of my problems come down just to poor writing in general. Like, my brain immediately went to Eureka 7 AO, and the majority of the female cast in that were basically just cardboard cutouts that filled very specific roles.
Yeah, they were basically just there to be like eye candy for the viewers.
There is a I don't know if I should mention Saito's game. I mean that one's purely if you don't know Saito, Switchback, he's the guy that does Ruby Remnants. He also made a hentai visual novel. I decided to support him by buying it and gave it a play. I have not been very impressed by it so far, and the characters are a large reason why. They're not really characters. It's an all-female cast, and I find them all really underwhelming. I'm playing through the game to beat it at this point because it's a friend and I want to support him, and I also want to kind of like understand more of like what went into it, but I not been impressed by it. It's called hentai and it's art. Look, the reason why is I'm going to be covering other visual novels in the similar genre, and a lot of them do a lot more heavy lifting when it comes down to the casts. To the point that like I'm actually more invested in the stories than I am in any of the hentai that's present. It's important to remember that just because there's pornographic elements of it, that something can still be well written and can still be very respectful.
Yeah.
I find it really funny that there are just a couple of what is considered adult, if not outright pornographic content out there that is just so well written that you don't actually care about the pornographic content. You just want to read the story. I actually skip over the pornographic content sometimes. I just want to read it.
Oh, there we go. They did alert.
I think the closest thing... Oh, go ahead.
Izanagi says, I feel a lot of harem or some of the slave isekai stuff is quite sexist or at least misaligned. But there's also me seeing pretty shots. Oh, thank you for reminding me. No, assassin isekai. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah, assassin isekai, yeah. 100%.
Like, there was literally, like, I think one female character that wasn't constantly wrapped around the main character's dick. And that includes his mother. Like, okay, if
Also,
you want to have an incest storyline, fine, but actually do something with it. Don't just, like, make it a weird gag. Oh, God.
yeah,
I'm in your
I
living room
think
listening to
what
this? Well, that was your
little-
mistake. I'm on an airship.
Someone earlier had asked what is Cage of Eden. Cage of Eden is a story about an airplane with about 300 passengers crash landing on this island, and the island happens to have really dangerous prehistoric creatures on it, and it's a survival story where the passengers of this plane are trying to survive in this strange world with a bunch of really deadly prehistoric creatures and find the mystery on the island. However, a lot of the story is just panty shots.
Yeah.
In really inappropriate places.
Somebody's entire torso gets devoured by a pterodactyl or something, and off in the left corner. Oh, my mistake. Whatever, fuck. And you see in like the left corner, just this girl's fucking ass in front of the panel. I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, that's like the infamous example that I give for like what Cage of Eden is just like really explicit gore of people being eaten or dying in really horrible ways, and then in the same panel, panty shots. We want you to be grossed out, but we also want you to be horny.
Yeah, there's oh, you know what's another
oh my god
example?
Wait there's one example I thought that kind of fits that similar bill. It's this thing called The Island of Giant Insects, I think it's called. It's like this anime movie that is adapted from a manga. It's the same deal, it's just that it's insects this time, but there's a little bit more of leeway in that one, because at the very least it's sort of made kind of like a B movie, but it still kind of has that problem.
Now, admittedly, there's like levels of like, all right, does this thing know what the fuck it is? Like Saito's game, I don't think it has any other illusion. It's anything other than just an excuse to, you know, it's fat material. That's basically what it wants to be, and it's using a very thinly veiled story to get it funneled. It's like, okay, great, it understands what it is. It's not trying anything more.
On that scale, from where Island of Giant Insects was in the movie, yes, it knows what it is.
Well, I was gonna say,
from what I've seen later in the manga, kind of, sort of know.
Well, I was gonna say, like, a great example of this is, Yozakura Quartet.
Oh, I heard of that one.
I actually think it's a really great series, but when I showed it to Twilight, and I warned her about this, especially in the second anime, which is actually really beautifully animated, it has gratuitous panty shots. Like there are moments where like there are characters, including like a 12-year-old girl that gets panty shotted.
I think she was 9.
Oh, that's right. She was like 10.
9.
She was 10. That was it. She was a 10-year-old running for mayor. That was a situation.
Yeah.
Jesus
but
Christ.
but no, like there were moments in that where it's like they never lingered on screen long enough to be super annoying. Like it wasn't like it hyper focused on them, but it was there and it was annoying all the same.
But the thing.
Well, I was going to explain.
The thing about that was,
the OVA, like the first season of the anime and the first OVA, were actually really good and didn't have any of that and were pretty solid, even though I think the second season is still better written than the first season, which gets even more complicated because whether or not they're in continuity with each other is really weird.
Well, not only that, but the manga was actually more in line with the OVA in the first season than the second season. They actually the manga panels actually did their best to not have panty shots on screen. There was always something covering them up. There was only one time that there was a panty shot in the manga. One time.
And wasn't it made a joke
of? No, I think I can't quite remember the context of it, but I'm pretty sure that I did send it to you.
Yeah, I remember you did.
Throughout all of those
10-year-old
all of those different screenshots.
You're trying to get me on an FBI watch list. I don't want you to get sniped by the FBI over bad anime. It's it sounds bad. It is bad, but it's like it's not. It was just like a incidental shot. Like I think that someone got really excited about making like skirt physics, like drawing the skirt physics, and they just got really carried away with how realistic it would be. Do you think there is a such thing as a sexist trope, or is in a case poor writing? I'm a point where I think story trope is truly I don't think a story trope is truly sexist, and it's all in the execution. I would generally agree. I'm very much most concepts, if not all concepts, are not inherently bad. It's all about the execution. You can definitely now there are definitely tropes I think that can be more easily executed sexistly,
like damsels in distress.
Damsels in distress. But I think overall, I mean, you can still do a damsel in distress really well.
Right.
Yep.
But yeah, if you want,
we got a solid foundation there.
Yeah, I think we got a pretty solid foundation. Just recommending the first OVA for Yozakura Quartet. Really fucking good. Highly recommend. If you only watch one thing from that series, that it's a great place to start. And then you can stomach the rest of it. Ruby, by your definition, is not sexist because the female characters have arcs.
I mean, I don't think anyone's ever really called Ruby sexist.
I don't think Ruby is sexist. I think Ruby is just terribly written. I think that's just it.
I don't think that Ruby being sexist has really been a topic of conversation. I mean, like, to a certain extent, there has been, in the sense that, like, yeah, the female characters are many and have character arcs and stuff, but they aren't really in a lot of positions of power or influence for the story. Most of the female characters just kind of fill up space, including the main characters. The main characters that push a lot of the plot along are much of the male characters.
Yeah, but like, didn't Critter give examples how the girls always follow the male orders? No, there's definitely, like, I'm not saying there aren't sexist moments or honestly just stupid moments, like, but to say it's overall sexist is, I think, a little beyond.
Yeah, that's beyond the pale. Like, especially given how prominent a lot of female characters are anyway, and how centered it is overall on them.
Bold of you to assume that I go to Reddit.
For real, dog. You already lost us there. Holy shit. But and that explains it.
Someone asked if, I do like Ruby Remnants. Whenever he comes out with more of it, I'll be right there, front row seat, because I do appreciate his work there. I get the feeling that his work on the visual novel was more of a side dalliance than it was anything super serious. Now, I hope I'm not insulting him by saying that. I do mean to talk to him about his visual novel to get insight, but no, Ruby Remnants so far has been pretty well done. If the video has said
I've seen some of those clips,
would you be more willing to agree? Potentially. It's on a case-by-case basis. We're definitely probably going to agree, probably going to disagree at different bits.
But at the very least, that would be a lot more, like, understandable of a position. But this person is just freaking front-loading.
Yeah, I was going to say, opening move, the entire show is sexist. And it's like, okay. So I think with that, who's ready to start this video?
Me.
All right, I am ready.
So, My Hero Academia, huh? I don't like the way female characters are treated in My Hero Academia. That's the gist of all this. Now, not just the treatment wholesale. I actually think MHA is notable for the presence of a diverse group of female characters. Class 1A is not half and half guys and girls, but out of the 20 students, there are 6 girls. This might sound kind of meager, especially considering one of them is actually invisible. Apparently, Sue and Toru were conceived as male characters, so at least we didn't get a 20-to-4 ratio. But compared to a lot of the other shonen shows I love, looking at you, Hunter x Hunter, and all the sports anime I adore, these shows have some great female characters, but they're not a large part of the cast, and that's frustrating. But My Hero...
Okay, we got it immediately.
You are basically saying the number of characters equals whether or not it's sexist. Wow. Quality and quantity You are focusing on quantity, not quality. That is your first mistake.
Yeah.
Also, before we go any further, Dedarex, I'm hearing the same thing. She sounds just like Neuralities.
Oh,
I'm not saying that as like a complete insult, but like, holy shit, I just instantly heard that. Go ahead, Brandon.
It's not. Yeah. I was gonna say this is a YouTuber by the name of Lady Inea, Lady Lynn. I don't know. It's up there on screen. It feels like a strong like fight to talk about the ratio of gender. I mean, I was like, I'm interested. It's like, okay, so what if the entire class was female?
Or what if there's only one female in the class, or like
what if there was one woman in one girl in the class, or what if the entire class was female except for Deku? Like, what does that change?
Oh my god,
exactly?
That'd be an Infinite Stratos situation, dog.
We never reference Infinite Stratos. Never in that show is so fucking bad. I was hoping for something with anything of meaning in that goddamn show, and I got vapid fucking fan service.
That's another example. Sexist as fuck. Go ahead.
Like, that's the thing when it comes to a lot of people's criticisms of female portrayal in a lot of shows, including anime, not taking into account nuances and things like that. When they're specifically going for quantity over quality, is it doesn't actually matter a lot of times how many characters are going to be in the class. For instance, you could have it like with what Raymond said, all female class except for Deku. Then suddenly people would be complaining that it's a harem. Like it really doesn't matter to a small group of people who will complain about a female character being in a show no matter what. They just have excuses for why they have to complain about these female characters.
Yeah, and especially in cases where like there are a shit ton of female characters and they suck ass, like Naruto.
Izanagi says, F Infinite Stratos, it was sadly one of my first anime, and god, I hate Ichika so much. At least the girls were kind of cute, but man, they are hollow. Dude, yeah, they are, like, I was like, oh, cute girls, and there's apparently a Yuri ship in there. And I watched it, and I'm like, this is awful. This is so bad. So bad.
No Yuri ship. 0 out of 10.
Well, there's a Yuri tease, but it's so fucking small, and it's like, wow, this was overblown when it was recommended to me. Crossover 4 says, personally, I love the Deku harem fanfic trope. All the girls in Class 1A are awesome and deserve Deku and each other. There is one harem fic that I'm reading, and it's interesting, but it's not always the best written. Like, it sometimes has really interesting concepts that like get really well fleshed out, and then sometimes it feels like grade school PSA, where it's like we gotta respect this person's boundaries, and I'm like, what the what? This is so like flatly unnuanced, and like there's no rough edges to any of this. People can't just be flawed. We have to immediately address the problem.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. I stay away from a lot of harem or poly ships in books or in fanfic like the plague because nobody knows how to fucking write them.
Yep.
No way.
Kirsten says the MHA fandom can be very nasty and sexist. Just look at Ochako revenge art, all because she didn't cling to Izuku and become a housewife. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, me neither.
That was a
what?
Like, the thing that I knew about was the Bakugo fans going fucking crazy because of chapter 431.
Actually, hold on. Let's look at Ochako revenge. Yeah, I didn't know about this whole revenge art shit for Ochako. That's crazy.
But no, like, in all seriousness, like, this whole, like, just... I can't believe that your entire thing it's about, these sports shows about an all-guys sports team has maybe one female character in it. I wonder why. It's maybe because like 90% of the show is focused on the game where the entire 100% of the people playing are men.
And that's not even getting into, Hunter x Hunter, the shonen battle anime. Yeah, you kind of... You were already in a losing battle there, dog. Like, what are you talking about?
I mean, the thing that a lot of people like this don't understand is that shonen and shoujo are demographics. Like, there's a reason why with shonen most of the cast is male, and that's because they're trying to appeal to boys, and that's why most of the cast for shoujo are female, because they appeal to girls. They're trying to show you the demographic of who they are trying to appeal to by showing how many characters are of a specific gender. Wow, what a concept. It's almost like we also do that over here in the West, with most shows aimed towards guys having a big discrepancy between male characters to female characters in shows that are aimed at boys, and the same but in the reverse for shows that are aimed at women.
Titania, Titania, I don't, whatever. How do you feel about One Punch Man only having one? I saw this earlier. I meant to answer one female S-class hero and Mob only having one weak female Esper. I know nothing about Mob Psycho, so I can't answer on that.
I do.
I've only seen One Punch Man season 1, and to that extent, I'm pretty sure Tornado was really well done. She's a fine character. Yeah. She's pretty interesting, and like
gets a lot of spotlight from.
So what? Like, honestly, the most compelling stuff about One Punch Man for the people that aren't S-class heroes. It's everyone on the ground floor. I mean, frickin' Moomin Rider is legendary for his moments of holding the line. So, like, what does it matter? Like,
also,
is she a sexist stereotype? Is she somehow like an awful example of female? No, she's not. Where is the problem? It just so happens that that's the gender demographic that spun out in that universe. That's fine.
Also, in Mob Psycho's case, what do you mean one weak Esper? There was like a really strong Esper that I'm pretty sure showed up in the second season. The one that kind of like got Mob inside of her freaking astral world and almost fucking killed him and traumatized him. But even if that wasn't the case, it's like, yeah, that's the demographic of the story. It doesn't really matter. In fact, the female characters in Mob, even the ones that aren't superpowered, are very well written anyway. So I don't.
That
see
was
that as an issue.
Man inside of a girl. Okay, first of all, phrasing.
Right, that was a male spirit.
And secondly, are you dead naming them? That's right. I'm pulling the trans card on you, Tatiana.
Hold on.
How are you going to respond to that one?
Pull that trigger. Okay, but like, what was I saying? But like, even if that wasn't the case, that
I am trans. I wouldn't do that. I'm sorry. Are you denying something about someone? I don't know what you're exactly complaining about here. Like,
Okay, Raymond, I think the joke's gone a bit too
far. All right.
Yeah, we need to slow down. We're not even a minute into this video yet.
Yeah, we're not. All right. So let's go for it.
Academia full of female characters. Hero, sports anime I adore. These shows have some great female characters, but they're not a large part of the cast, and that's frustrating. But My Hero Academia is full of female characters, heroes, villains, and I enjoy watching their part in the adventure. Still, there's two things that really get me about the female characters in the show, and they really get me. The sexist objectification of the young women of My Hero Academia, which is not only distasteful, but also a distraction from the main story, and the constant sidelining and lack of development for the female cast. Before I go any further, I want to say I love My Hero Academia. I think it's one of the greatest shonen of the past few decades. I have had so much fun watching this show. Bones did a fantastic job on the adaptation, no surprise, and the story is well-paced, action-packed, full of memorable and compelling characters. It's a great show. Also, I think MHA deserves a shout-out for including a mother character, Inko, who is alive and a part of Deku's life, which is just... Thank you, MHA. Thank you for having a living, present, caring mom for our hero.
She's also an unusual body type, which is something you don't really see very often.
Yeah.
That is true.
Like, this shocks me a bit because, like, there are plenty of mother characters in anime. What are you talking about?
Yeah, like, holy shit. I
Yeah, who
like
I guess
present
who's
and
alive.
part of the main story of sorts, or throughout the story. Sure, you can say that, but like a lot of characters have parents, but because they don't really factor into the plot of the story, they aren't really around. They're kind of just like back home where the character is off adventuring or whatever.
I was gonna say, are you gonna complain about the dad being absent here, lady?
Oh, true.
I thought that we were going to get the
Sexism
father in the
towards
manga
men.
at some point.
We never did. We only know he breathes fire. That's literally it. Also, Titania, when she's older, referring to her shape, and it's like, yes, people, but it's the same thing. All Might is like, 70 or 80 years old, and he's a fucking twig. So it's like, it's almost as the show, realistically, a freaking Gran Torino becomes a manlet. It's like I also Toshinko is the MHA OTP.
Oh, it's fucking
Toshinori and
Deku's
Inko.
mom.
It's a cute ship. I don't mind that ship. I like when it pops up, I'm like, okay, I can roll with this. It's not one that I actively ship, but it's cute. Tell me something about about Tail Quirk guy. I actually have a point about him in my freaking video coming up. In that him, Sarah. I am blanking on his name. He is probably the most forgettable character. Unfortunately. Ojiro, right? Mashirao Ojiro. Ojiro, Sero, and Sato are really just there to fill out the class, which is fine. That's okay. But then at the very end, Sero gets a speech that actually is like, yeah, I'm kind of normal. I'm fucking extra. Your whole philosophy that pain breeds power. I look at my buddy Todoroki over there and what he fucking went through. I don't want anyone to go through that. Fuck you, man. I'm still gonna try and kick your ass even though I'm comparatively normal. I don't care. He's great. I love him.
He's a great moment.
I find it really interesting that this person and a lot of people who complain about the female characters in MHA are like, well, they don't get a lot of development and they don't get a lot of character arcs. It's like every single one of the female cast in MHA has gone through characterization and character arcs where you have a lot of male characters in that class who just get nothing because they are just meant to be in the class.
Yeah, like there are like a few. There are a few like female characters that I would say go like underdeveloped it more than they probably should. But other than that, like they get way more attention comparatively.
Yeah, I was gonna say
like, the male characters.
Like of the male cast, I can name. Well, let's see, Sero. Okay, comparatively, I think it's Sero, Mineta. Sato, Ojiro. Oh, who else? Who else do we got in there that's like kind of not really focused upon?
Oh, the
Coda.
What's his name? Yeah, Coda.
And a little bit of, I guess Shoji almost falls into that. He just narrowly escapes it with his big moment. But like, basically all of the girls are at least at Shoji's level, if not higher. In fact, I would actually put, I think, almost all of them at Denki's level, and Denki's about a step above Shoji. In terms of their development or their focus.
Or like relevance,
Wait, did I miss a lot? We're a minute and 46 we're a minute 46 into a 40-minute video. You're fine, you got. He just likes to bake, that's it. Yeah, and you know what? We gotta normalize characters being just there. It's okay. It makes sense for him to be there. Like, it's not, he doesn't need a deep character arc. Like, I do encourage people to fill out their characters, but it wasn't necessary. And their classes
not wasting too much time, then like it's fine. Like, there's an issue in regards to, I guess I gotta bring up Naruto again as an example, because It get leaked. Hold on, I'm gonna.
I don't know if like audio is the problem. It's mostly visual. Did that fix it? That did not fix it. That is unfortunate.
Super lag is here.
Yeah, the super lag. I feel like there's like a memory leak or something going on, and I don't know where I would find it.
And no sound. Holy shit.
Oh, and no sound.
That's what Dedorex said. I think he's the only one who said that there isn't any sound though. God damn it, we're so similar.
Go down here.
God damn.
So we can go to the old format, and no, this is literally everything is lagging on Streamlabs now.
Oh dear.
Huh. Well, wait. What if I can take a risk and turn off the preview window? It's not fixed. If I turn off the preview window, then it might save some of the energy.
Maybe. Oh, I guess they hear us now.
There. Okay. All right. And if I transfer back. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll probably have to lower res the output on these files, unfortunately. They're all in 1080p medium load settings, but I might have to go to 720, and I don't want to do that, but it might be requisite to make all this work properly.
It's Twi's birthday again.
Well, yeah, I had to swap over there. Again.
But
she has not seen.
Have leftover cake.
She has not seen Zombieland Saga, and it is on my list to show her.
But yeah, going back to what I said about Naruto, since I guess some people didn't hear that part because of the thingy. Fucking, you know, in Naruto's case, Naruto's problem is that they establish characters as being potentially like really important.
No more audio.
Fuck!
Wait, we're back? Are we back? I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure this out. I apologize. I knew that something like this was going to happen. I knew.
I see Amelie scuff semblance activate. Holy sh! Okay, we're back. Are we back? Okay,
I think so.
Good.
I'm checking the live stream tab.
Yeah, the chat's saying that we're back. So
okay,
should be
good.
Fine.
I've turned out the preview like on my Streamlabs, so hopefully that saves us a lot of like memory and such. But it means I won't be able to modify anything if something goes wrong.
Damn. All right. So point. Naruto establishes characters as being potentially super important, and then doesn't really follow up with it in consistently interesting ways. Neji. But comparatively, nobody, Choji's established as a side guy. He is a side guy from up to the very end. He's fine. Who's gonna be mad at that, right?
Speaking of Naruto and female characters, though, what female character is actually considered important to the story that isn't Sakura and Tsunade?
Conan.
Okay, Orochimaru has long hair, so he counts. Ashbarian says the dream tried to silence Kaiser's Naruto slander. Take it from the top, Kaiser. The world needs to know the truth.
Yeah, for real, dog. The minute I start talking shit about Naruto, fucking believe it. But yeah, other than Sakura and Tsunade, there's Hinata, debatably, and even then that's at like the last movie.
Hinata is not important. When has Hinata ever been fucking important?
He just qualified, that's why.
I would give it a cameo. Guys, she fucking dude, the stream is worried about my Naruto takes. Twilight, don't worry. Alright.
She is the love interest of Naruto. That is her whole existence in the story, is being Naruto's love interest.
Yeah, then there's Conan, then there's Kaguya, and even then she's more of a plot device than a character.
Haven't seen Naruto, should I avoid? I don't know.
I mean, It has.
Everybody says watch until the Chunin exams and then probably drop it.
Yeah, that's about where I stopped. So I mean,
I say stop at the pain arc, if anything,
because after that becomes the pain arcs. Anyway, Yugox, not every character needs the frontline focus arc. Yes, that brings us back on the topic. Which means I think we should continue the video.
Correct.
Yeah.
You are in an elite club for that. I'd also like to say that MHA is pretty notable for having 2 trans supporting characters, the hero Tiger, a trans man, and the villain Magne, a trans woman. Because this is in part a discussion of gender representation in shonen manga, I think that these characters are important to mention and celebrate, so I'm going to do that right here. Full disclosure that I am cis, so mostly I want to cover this because I think it's important, and I think it would be wrong to not cover the series Trans Woman in a video about women in MHA. For Tiger, I don't think his trans identity is mentioned outside the manga, and only then briefly in an extra, but he was able to fully transition. For Magne, that's not the case, and I've read opinions from trans fans with different takes of how well her representation is handled. I'm cis myself, so I don't want to center my take, but there seems to be points for it having good and bad elements. On one hand, it's interesting to have a trans character who doesn't pass, maybe because hero society is structured in a way that villains and poorer people don't have access to resources like gender-affirming surgery that heroes or the wealthy do. We see that.
Well, it's also Japan, so that's like... Notice that with Tiger, Tiger had to go to Thailand to transition.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was a note you showed up on screen, so I wonder if that played a factor in things. M3D says, I doubt MHA is sexist, but the joke goes crazy. I seen someone say Baku Deku would be canon because Horikoshi could never make Deku settle for a woman.
Who the fuck said that?
Wait, Tiger is a trans man? Yep.
Yeah.
And you see, that's actually what I think is the most interesting thing about it. They're never highlighted. None of this is ever highlighted. These characters just exist in the world and act in the way that they do. And in fact, what I appreciate is that, like, Magni, they talk about being, like, disparaged, but I don't think it's ever connected to her identity. That it's the reason that she's disparaged.
No, there is a small scene where Magne is talking to another trans woman about how difficult it is for them, but that friend of Magne's is always talking about more about how it's impressive that Magne sticks her head up out of the crowd and tries to change things that she's unsatisfied with, whereas her friend admits that she doesn't have that strength. So it's more whatever Magni is dissatisfied with, she has that commitment to try and change what she's dissatisfied with.
It's more of a reflection of a greater personality trait.
Yeah.
Sure.
That lack of in our own non-superhero society. On the other hand, Magne is a villain, and she, the only trans character you can clearly identify as trans, is presented as one of the villains. Fairly sympathetic villains, but villains. Like other queer characters, trans characters have historically been presented as evil or deviant in fiction. She does reflect a bit on her identity in a pretty touching inner monologue, shortly before, spoilers for Season 4, Episode 2, a brutal death at the hands of Overhaul. Honestly, this is one of the first times a character straight up dies in the series. The show does kill a bunch of people from here on out, but I could do a whole video on Bury Your Gaze. I'll just say it's definitely a choice for Koshi.
Pause. There we go.
Sorry. I was just like, stop. Like, you literally had just said that Magni is the only visibly trans character after just talking about Tiger, and then going on to say how trans people are often portrayed as villains, again, ignoring Tiger, who is a hero. Like, I'm sorry, but you can't admit that there are more representation for these characters, but then also say that there is a problem because trans characters have historically always been portrayed as evil, and then cherry picking one of the two out trans characters who happens to be a villain in order to make your point. I'm sorry, that is very slimy to do. Don't do that.
Izanagi says, "Oh no, this is gonna feel like Reddit ass awful takes." It already is.
But yeah, exactly that.
Also, Bury Your Gaze is apparently opened to just to queer folk in general.
Joe does kill a bunch of people from here on out, but I could do a whole...
More likely to die straight characters despite being far less present across media. Or, now, hear me out, it's just someone died.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, you even admit yourself that there have been a couple of characters that died, or at least get injured, before this moment. And I'm very sure that those
she said that this is the first overt death, and I am actually trying to rack my brain is, who else died before this? Oh, the people that Stain killed.
Yeah.
Stain murdered a whole bunch of people. I mean, admittedly off screen, but I mean, we saw near murder on screen at the very least, so we know it was serious.
Right.
Yeah. One of the things that kind of ticks me off about tropes like this is that a lot of people water it down to apply to any time a character gets treated like a character for the purpose of the story. So it's usually the Bury Your Gaze trope is a character like that dies specifically because their lifestyle isn't considered correct, or it's trying to send like a moral message specifically, or you're trying to say that because this person lives like this, they're going to eventually die anyway, and they're not going to get proper characterization specifically because they are gay. But that is not what happens here. So like, I would appreciate it if people who try to bring these tropes up and try to criticize them to not water down the meaning of the trope to apply to any kind of queer character who happens to die for any reason. Because Magne and Magne's death was very important to the villain group.
Yeah, Nathan brought up that both, Blank Canvas brought this up. Toga and Twice got angry at Overhaul for misgendering her.
Yes.
Like, that's an important, like, her death did motivate the other characters, and they still very much honored her because they cared about her. The show
right up toward the end of the story.
Yes. They treated her with dignity,
and
which
it's
is something
almost
that a lot of Bury Your Gaze characters didn't have.
And it's almost as if, you know, the heart of My Hero's story is that a lot of the villains are just, they wanted to be good people, but were shunned by society in one way or another for reasons that were largely outside of their control. So it's like, it's almost as if it's trying to teach us that these villains could have been good, productive members. It's why I love the hero
like
Toga
it's a tragedy
concept.
Or something.
It's almost as if they're tragic characters, and we're supposed to sympathize with them and understand them, so that when we go forward in our lives and do something, we keep in mind these characters that we love and try to treat other people with the sympathy that we wish they got. It's almost as if that's part of the plan. Not sure if Bury Your Gaze, but Kazu's death in Genlock felt pretty awfully timed.
I heard about that, yeah. It seemed really weird.
Did he die getting banged as a woman?
Yeah. After.
Like he was discovering
very soon after that.
Like he was discovering his trans identity, or whatever, gender fluidity or something like that, and then like died almost immediately afterwards. It's like
Yep. Yeah, I remember that, and it was pretty awful. It was pretty stupid.
Oh, they say that in this video.
So glad I
Play
didn't
it.
watch
Okay, all right. Exalted Falchion says, a queer character is still a character. Yes, and they are still prone to the things that happen to characters.
I mean, it's good that this person apparently talks about this, but the fact that they're bringing it up at all is still kind of a problem because it is poisoning the well a little bit.
First on-screen death lines from TV trope. Okay. I mean, I think it is the first on-screen active death, that not counting Nomu.
Whole video, Bury Your Gaze. I'll just say it's definitely a choice Horikoshi made. There is a nice scene after her.
Also, wait, I need to argue with this. Despite being less prominent across media. All right, so if I have an entire cast of gay characters and they die, like any one of them die, am I going to get blamed for kill the gays? Like, at what proportion is it all right to start killing gay and queer characters? I'm not responsible for someone else's fucking media. I'm responsible for the writing that I do. Horikoshi's responsible for the writing he does. And a lot of other characters end up dying in several arcs, including this one. Including the straight white fucking male. Well, arguably he might be asexual. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But, like, as long as, like, there's no evidence of, discrimination or shittiness towards that group or something like that in your story, then, like, it's fine, I think.
Also, I don't think it matters because there was a very prominent author tuber. She's not very popular anymore. She's declined quite a bit in the recent years because people have figured out that she's not a very good writer, despite the fact that she teaches writing on YouTube.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point.
What they shock.
She used to say that the main way that you can circumvent bury your gays as a trope and a lot of other harmful stereotypes like that and tropes like that is to simply fill your cast with more gays and more black people or people of color and whatever. And she did that in her novel. But people have pointed out, just because you did that does not make it right that you still have a bunch of really harmful stereotypes for a lot of these characters. Just because you have 2 bisexual characters does not negate the fact that you have a fucking sexual assaulting bisexual as your main villain, who is like every single bisexual stereotype out there. Among other
Demonetized.
Really, like, just the worst kinds of stereotypes that you can imagine for a lot of these characters.
Jesus.
Basically coin flip on whether or not she added it to those characters, but it's okay because she has a second character also of that sexuality or that race that is also there, that is just there to fill out the roster. They're just there. They don't have characters, but they exist.
The thing about MHA outside of some characters is that we never actually get sexual orientations for the main characters. I mean, I just presumed they were straight because that's what the majority of people in Japan are. Like, I would presume that it goes towards the target demographic that the characters are heterosexual to some degree. Toga gets no sympathy from me. She is just a psycho. You can't blame her quirk since we literally have Blood Quirk user as the class 2A teacher Blood Vlad. No! Deterex, holy shit, dude!
Whoa, wait a minute. Yeah, physiology stuff works differently for different people.
Okay, well, there's that. 2, she has a mental compulsion, aka she has a mental illness or a mental divergence in some way that compels her to do what she does, and she didn't get the help she needed in order to better handle that. Instead, she got abused into trying to be quote-unquote normal instead of trying to learn to live with her disability effectively. And because of that, she had a mental breakdown, snapped, and ended up harming someone. And because she harmed someone in that way, it immediately outlawed her from society, and thus destroyed any chance of her maintaining a normal life that she had been told was the goal the whole time. She's a mentally tortured character, and I adore her. Do not fucking badmouth my girl.
Keep her name out of your goddamn mouth. But honestly, not to say that she's not responsible for any of her actions. Obviously,
she is responsible.
The story still, but you can still understand that, okay, this is a pretty shitty situation that, it makes sense for her to go through in this way.
Yes, that is absolutely it. It's the fact of the matter is she is still very much responsible for her actions, but it could have been avoided had she gotten the help she needed. And that's the tragedy. I just got here. Did y'all talk about Bakugo versus Ochiko? Not yet. I didn't know that was touched upon, and I am really worried now because that's a fantastic fight.
Oh boy.
Death where in the League of Villains correct overhaul when he misgenders her. And I've never seen that before in a shonen show. Although I'll be focusing on the representation of the young cisgender women in my analysis, particularly representations of their bodies, I wanted to say that trans rights are human rights and womanhood is more than how you present or appear physically. Now, just because the show has more female characters who are treated better than many shonen and has some trans representation, that does not mean it's immune to criticism. And I have criticisms. Let's get into it. Like I mentioned, I have two problems with MHA's female cast. The first is the male gaze. The second is the lack of development for the female characters in the story. We'll begin with the first one, the male gaze. If you haven't heard the term male gaze before, you've definitely seen it. If you've seen MHA, you've seen it before. Male gaze is an idea in feminist theory that...
Let's see. Women in art are portrayed as sexual objects for the pleasure of a presumptive heterosexual male audience. Okay, good enough.
Women in art are portrayed as sexual objects for the pleasure of a presumptive heterosexual male audience.
Yeah, why'd you mansplain?
There's a lot written about this idea. And if you're like,
I don't know, some off, like, freaking Ant, sometimes they just flash by without him elaborating. I don't know who's going to actually do this right.
Well, to be fair, it's good to do it with him because he's a guy.
There's so much on this topic you don't even know. No, there's a lot on this topic I don't want to know.
Well, of course I don't know, because you are specifically aligning those books in a way that we can't read the titles.
The Woman at the Keyhole, Black Looks, I'm just going to presume that. All Their Shurers, Way of Seeing.
I'd read or watch more about that. I'm going to link some stuff in the description.
Okay.
But for analyzing MHA, it's that the women in the show exist as sexual objects first and characters of their own second. On a basic level, if the goal of presenting a female character a certain way is simply to make a presumed straight male viewer go, "That's hot," then female characters are treated as sexual objects first and characters second, if they're treated as characters at all. Think of panty shots, boob shots, tentacles, gross.
Wait a minute. Izanagi, oh god, this feels like the most bitch basic video essay take out there, and I like video essays.
Yeah,
because
this is not gonna be anything new here.
Are we gonna ignore how cut all the guys in MHA are? I think so.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Because that is one of the things with a lot of these people who cry sexism in anime, is that they often ignore how men are portrayed. And you can make the argument of, like, power fantasy and all that kind of stuff, but, like, there is a limit to power fantasy, and there is a limit to male gaze. Like, there is POV male gaze in which there was a movie that was playing in the background for a birthday that I went to a while ago, where there was an old man who was looking after somebody's hot daughter, and she was suntanning out by the pool, and she came in to get some coconut oil or whatever. And you can see that he was trying not to look at her, but you can see, like, the camera was obviously ogling her, and that was meant to portray his perspective. Not necessarily that you as the audience are supposed to figure that she is hot and oogle over her, but that it is the character who is having those thoughts.
Yeah,
that is the difference.
Effect,
and my immediate response is also Baku Deku shippers. Holy shit! I have seen.
Stop the Fujoshi.
I have seen what they are fucking into. All right, it is far tamer on the Het and Yuri side of the fandom than anything that goes on in the in the yaoi side of the fandom. All right, trust me, I have seen over that fence. I don't care for it.
People, I have been in what was it? MHA roleplay servers, and in those servers, most of those servers are made up of women. And these are some of the horniest fucking women on the fucking planet, bro. Like, holy shit. They talked about Hawks. They talk about Endeavor. They talk about Bakugo. They talk about Todoroki. They are down catastrophic, bro. That is insane.
Yeah, like, a lot of people act as though women are just these innocent little things that you can protect or that need to be protected and have no real personality or dirtiness of their own. But then, like, when you look at the fandom, it's like, yeah, they're allowed to do that, but you're not allowed to talk about it, and you're not allowed to point that out.
I guess the argument the counter argument that would be made is that, okay, but we are like reframing them in a sexualized way, whereas the show didn't do that to begin with, so it's okay.
That's not good either. Like a lot of artists take non-sexualized characters and sexualize them anyway. Doesn't matter their gender or how old they are or how young they are or whatever. If you are inherently taking a non-sexualized character and sexualizing them, that is on you. That is you doing that. Yeah. That is you being a nasty.
Yeah. I should also mention this moment with Momo and Jiro. It is very much a basis for a lot of the Yuri shipping between the two. And you might be like, oh, well, it's obviously horny guys. No, it's a lot of women that ship these two as well. And I've read a lot of fics between these two, and it's often very wholesome between these two, even though this might be an inciting incident for it. Like, it's really weird how, like, anything like this is automatically considered verboten. When it's like, well, no, that just naturally is how things would happen. She had to break her costume to make the situation work. Like, okay, actually, this gets even better because if she was on even more of a costume, it would have been even more in tatters.
Yeah, if anything, like, the whole thing, it's like, oh,
it's evidence why she needs it open first. Like it is.
Yeah, like the whole thing about, oh, these characters are sexualized first and their characters second. This is one of those moments where both are together, like, simultaneously at the same time. And it's still bad? What?
The joke of this scene is that...
Kaminari.
Yeah, sorry, I'm blanking on names. I'm sorry. I'm a horrible fake MHA fan.
Fake fan.
I know.
Chat.
Jiro is the one that is freaking out more about her being half naked than Momo is, and she is freaking out because she doesn't want Kaminari to see, but Kaminari is too stupid at the moment to really notice or care, but she still has an over-the-top reaction. That is what makes it funny, is that it's Jiro's reaction to Momo's...
and it's Momo's underreaction. Momo is just kind of chill with it. It's almost as if something like this has happened before, and she's actually used to being this exposed in a situation. Like, it's almost as if she's grown up handling her quirk and understands the limitations and what happens, and she's at peace with it. And that she has to wear an exposing piece of outfit in order to make it, like, function. It's like, it's very much in character, and then it's played for a joke where we're constantly getting, like, you know, steam in front of the I was gonna say the goods. It's like the very minor details. We're getting, like, the moments where Jiro's earphone jack cord is, like, right over the nipples. It's like we get these different shots that are meant to be playing a joke on the audience. It's like, it's funny. It's inherently funny. There is a sexual humor that you are completely missing. As, like...
Yeah, Momo is in control during this whole
situation. Yeah, she is completely in control. Well. Okay, how's this for a take? What about women being empowered and being willingly naked?
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
That's a whole new level of this that you're not even analyzing.
Now, like, of course, then there's the whole discussion and debate about, you know, whether it's ethical to sexualize teenage characters or not or whatever, but that's like a whole other layer to this.
But Momo's costume works with his body, so Momo and Hagakure have no excuse. No, genuine complaint. I'm not saying that there's not problems here, but the current direction that she's aiming them in is really weird and poor, and they're, like, I'm not giving Horikoshi a pass. There's explanations he could have provided, like maybe first years don't get access to that technology for some reason, that sort of thing. But we don't get any of that, and I do blame him for that. He should have thought ahead with that kind of stuff.
I want to respond to Tanya in chat. You think because it's a joke, male viewers didn't find it hot? It's not about the fact that they find it hot or not. The girl is specifically saying that the sexualization is in the forefront first, and her actual character is here second, which isn't true. That's
her character is first and foremost here.
Titania, they're teenage boys. They look at any amount of skin and they're going to get rock hard. It doesn't matter.
Riku. That's an in-joke.
I did not.
Izanagi says, I swear if this person has similarities to the Neuralities controversy, this is going to be so much deja vu. I know nothing about that.
Don't even get me started with that.
Says, the usual thing about Momo's quirk is that Horikoshi wrote her power to work like that, where it requires her to be exposed. And it's interesting, and it's different, and it's a limitation. Because now she actually has to work around the fact that she needs to produce different objects of different size out of different parts of her body. It's actually really kind of neat. And that's one of the things that's best about My Hero Academia. It's weird. It's unusual. It's not what you would think of. If she were squirting a freaking, medieval cannon out of her hand, I would have a lot more questions than I do when she produces one out of her belly. Izanagi, do I feel like we should be showed Bayonetta to this person? That character would break her mind. Yeah.
Didn't a lot of people freak out over Bayonetta?
Yes.
Even though that...
yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Granted, it was back in the Sarkeesian, the dark times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta focus on Batman's ass.
The thing that I find interesting with the female characters as opposed to the male characters is the limitations for the male characters is very bog standard. Their muscles will get torn up. They will get physical injuries. That is the limitation for their powers, because most of their powers are very straightforward and very boring in that sense. But with the women, their powers and their limitations and their weaknesses are
much
varied.
More varied. Yeah.
The whole thing with Hagakure is that you can't loot her because she's invisible.
Yugok says, sorry, I wanted to hit this because Yugok did point out I missed a super chat. Didn't Shigaraki literally cut off Overhaul's hands because Overhaul killed her? Again, Magni was killed by a villain. Literally killing trans equals bad. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, there's that.
And then also Mountain Lady is introduced with an ass shot she set up. I don't want to hear this person's takes on Midnight. Thank you very much, Magni. There's actually an element to be here that is touched upon in one of the side stories about how sex sells. And you have a character like Midnight and Mountain Lady who are competing to be sexually attractive while doing hero work in order to boost their ratings. And that's a criticism of the heroing system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you for so long. Please
go. So you also have Ochako, who will get sick to the stomach if she uses her powers too much. That's not breaking her muscles or anything like that. That is becoming sick. You have just all of these female characters have different, much more varied limitations to their powers, whereas the guys are just more bog standard. They work too hard, their muscles get destroyed, they get physically injured.
Kirishima constantly has an exposed chest.
There's that.
Constantly.
Yeah.
No one makes a big deal about it because it's all right for men to have his chest exposed. It's not all right for a woman to have her chest out.
Well, in regards to male exposure, again, there's the argument where it's but the camera doesn't literally zoom in on his abs and in a suggestive manner or whatever. So that's the difference.
What is a suggestive manner, though? That is something that I don't think anyone really describes. They just say in a descriptive, in a suggestive manner, when it's literally just them showing it.
Yeah, it's there is an art to looting something. If you want to describe it, you got to describe it it's a Michael Bay shot.
Yeah, like that.
Mystic Master says, what I was getting at was that it feels like an excuse to get a teenage girl to show off a lot of skin cleavage, which is the real problem for a lot of people. What about all the guys showing skin and cleavage? They get their clothes shredded off regularly. So do the girls. Everyone gets treated pretty reasonably in this show.
Yeah, and people pretty much lewd them, equally. So,
in fact,
mission accomplished.
Here's the thing that I find really interesting about, exposure between the sexes, is that prior to the 1900s, men also weren't allowed to show off their bare chests either. That was considered taboo. The whole reason why men can show off their chests and take off their shirts and all that without anybody blinking an eye is because men went forth and started doing that specifically because they were working all day on building things and becoming sweaty, and their wives would have to wash their clothes all the time. So if they just protected their clothes from getting dirty and sweaty, then their wives wouldn't have to work so hard, and that became a standard. We could easily also do that for women, but the thing is that the unfortunate thing about women is that women's breasts are also wrapped up in the whole purity culture of childbirth and stuff, and the sacred weirdness that a lot of men in particular, as well as some women, but just religious nature in general, just has this weird twisted mentality about women's chests.
Yeah, to be fair,
that make it hard.
Crossover says, to be fair, I've seen some people complain about Curie. If they're fine about that. But I've not really seen it. Mirio also gets naked to use his powers. Thank you, Kelvin. That's a great thing to bring up. Mirio, without his suit, would be constantly getting naked and often is. And he's also waving his ass at everyone frequently. That's I find that actually much more alarming. Would you say that MHA and men are as sexualized as women, especially the younger cast? Frequently, yes.
Well, obviously so. I mean, maybe not sexualized in the exact same way, but
yeah,
again,
I was gonna say that's
also
there's also need to take into consideration that sexualization and the sexual gaze of any one member of the audience is going to be different between people.
Those are two different
women physically like different things than men. Women are far less frequently enamored when it comes down to the sexual organs. They can be. Lord knows I've seen plenty of Twitter artists that are real about that. But oftentimes men are attracted to the sexual organs of the women. That's like very much like we have there is an attraction there. But women are much more about face, much more about, say, muscles, abs, the overall build. There's a lot to the nature of what different sexes appreciate about the opposite sex in a physical way.
I like a good neck.
Yeah, right.
A lot of women do, absolutely.
That's an interesting. What about gay men and women? They also sexualize in a completely different way. Everyone sexualizes in a different way, and it's not just this for straight white guys, quote unquote.
And even if there's like a disproportion in regards to MHA, that makes sense because of that magical word, the demographic.
Yes,
it's for young boys, so young boys are gonna like different things.
It's a whole part of the conversation that's being completely neglected. But even within that conversation, I would say that the men get sexualized in many ways that are equivalent to the women here, but they're different. It's also because what sexualizes is intriguing for women can often be the idealization for men as well. Like that happens all the time too.
Yeah, if you were to ask me which series has their male character sexualized more, MHA or Naruto, I would pick MHA all the damn day. MHA or Bleach, MHA, same difference. MHA and Dragon Ball, debatable, but probably MHA wins.
Titania seems to be very upset at us looking at this video. Oh no, my tab crashed.
No! Somebody needs some sexualization, like someone trying to seduce someone else, like fly in Seed. You mean Fry? What's her name in Seed?
Fly?
It's not
Flay.
Yeah, no.
There's that.
Okay, that's should have been handled more maturely. Honestly, Seed handles sexualization far less maturely, even though it starts out far more maturely.
Yeah,
which is very ironic.
Like the idea that like to remove sexuality, Momo has boobs. Okay, great. At the end of the day, what about it? And the only one getting tiffed about it is Jiro. That's the joke.
Sure.
Oh God, I'm walking in circles with this. Let's continue.
Female characters are treated as sexual objects first, and characters second, if they're treated as characters at all. Think of panty shots, boob shots, tentacles, groping, all of that. This is what I'm talking about.
I'm pretty sure Mirio goes to that machine too.
Also, the tickle thing, I don't even think that was even meant to be sexual, but all right.
It can be. Don't get me started on that.
I'm sorry, I'm not saying, I meant in that scene.
Yeah, in that scene, I think it's a joke.
Like, here's the thing, though. Like, things aren't usually fetishes and things like that until kids see it, and then for some reason, because kids have seen it, they get a fetish for it. It's really, really fucking weird.
Mystic Master, critics don't show a teenage girl naked. My question is, why are we focused on only the teenage girls? The guys are getting naked too.
Right.
That is a very big problem.
More lag? Uh-oh. Where's my...
Wait, can you at least hear us? Are we still like, audible?
Testing. I'm watching it right now. It's still shaky.
Ah, shit.
It can be, but the joke is not. Stream scuff semblance. Yay.
Why would this? Holy shit.
I really got to downscale that that file. That's unfortunate.
Probably.
And it's happening every 20 minutes.
Quick.
It's happening between the transitions between the files because it only lasts about 20 to 30 minutes. I'm betting it's transferring. It's doing the loop that caused it to freak out. So maybe I just gotta make it super fucking long. I don't know. Maybe that'd be worse. I can hear, but it's laggy. We can hear you. I can hear you guys. Hear, but your avatars are being laggy. We can hear you. Just the screen's lagging. The picture is still lagging. There's some buffering, but it's good now. Let's see. Yeah, if you can see, critter wiggling is the indication of whether or not it's running smoothly. Here, you know what? This sort of fixed it earlier if I just briefly swap us back over to the old stream. Briefly. Oh, didn't mean to minimize everything.
Oopsies.
Did that again. Testing. No, go back to live. Why are you never on live? All right. Seen that. It's good. I blame Totally Spies for ruining a generation. I blame Totally Skies for the scuff.
For Totally Skies.
Totally Skies. Yet again, Celtic has more scuff than Monarch does. Green Mouse, save us. More cake. The critter is still. At least I still hear you. Yeah, no, sorry about that, guys. Don't worry. We'll be... Once everything's... Okay, it looks like things have moved over. Let's go back to the Fiat. And we should be good. Okay. I think we're good. You'll transfer over in just a minute. I'm watching it carefully. I have no preview window up, so I have to wait for the stream to catch up. All right, there we go. I think we're good. All right. Well, that's
Perfect.
Annoying.
Just in time for when I just get back from the bathroom.
Celtic versus stream, yes. All right, well, 100%. Let's continue.
Yeah. Anime fandom, we tend to call this stuff fan service. Fan service is a more neutral term than male gaze, mostly because while fan service is implied to be for presumably straight male viewers, it can be for presumably straight women too. I'm going to stop saying presumably straight from here on out to be less wordy FYI, since this is the default for the male gaze. Some might look at Free Iwatobi Swim Club and say, fan service exists for girls too. And yes, this is true. But Free is almost satire in a way. It's shameless about it. And there is one
fan service is satire. Shut up.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Okay,
all the
what?
freaking fan service scenes in MHA is a joke.
What?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, almost all of them are jokes in the situation for the absurdity of what's going on. And also, no, Free is not a parody. Holy shit, Free is not a parody. They are playing that fucking straight.
Yeah, I didn't see any part there where the guy was coming out of the tub where that was supposed to be funny. That was just straight up fan service for the sake of ogling at this guy's body. That is not anything comparable to the majority of scenes like that in MHA where you are supposed to laugh at it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, weirdly enough, this is shameless. MHA at the very least has the courtesy to be funny. It's a joke in MHA almost always, whereas here, it's all about... This is a dramatic showdown between two rivals. There's nothing funny here. These two are duking it out in a closed down pool. The most weird thing about it is that they're breaking in somewhere to do this. And it's like... They're... Oh, fucking hell.
I don't get this.
There are a million shonen with massive amounts of fan service aimed at men. Because, the patriarchy. Male-oriented fan service...
You want to elaborate on that point?
Because they are series specifically geared towards young boys.
Yeah.
It's a little different. Some see a male character with his shirt off and think, yes, there is no problem with fan service in anime. See this man. He's hot. Women will like that. And I'm sure many will.
See,
but a male character's chest is never going to be the defining trait of his character.
It's a joke, and it's funneled through a character's point of view. It's still fan service.
Also,
it's never going to be
a defining part of his character. Like, neither is Momo and her tits. So what's the problem?
Yeah. Free, a parody. How dare. It's like, no, yeah, it's 50% off is the parody.
Yeah, I love that show, dog. I love that Bridge series. It's so funny.
Guess who just got out of prison?
Something that other characters comment on all the time. It's never going to be what new characters react to first. It's never going to be that important. The anime Fairy Tail features Natsu and Lucy as two of the main characters. Natsu often doesn't wear a shirt. We get his abs and chest on display a lot of the time. Lucy often wears bikinis and similarly revealing outfits. Guess whose cleavage is constantly focused on by the literal framing of the show and the story itself? It's not Natsu.
I'm sorry. Natsu's abs are on display a lot. Now, I'm not saying that Fairy Tail doesn't have a rampant amount of fan service.
Yeah.
But I also recall the characters being characters. Lucy's a person?
In fact. Also, isn't Gray's joke that he gets naked?
Yeah, Gray's whole joke is that he gets naked constantly.
Oh my god. Like, I'm not saying that it's in the same degree as the female characters, and that isn't a problem in Fairy Tail.
And he has Julia, who slavers all over him.
Yeah!
I'm going to be honest, have you guys not lost your mind? Because
we've seen it all before.
Yeah, this is nothing new.
This is predictable.
We've been told to check the Discord by Dedarex.
Oh.
I'm wonder what this is. It better not be Toga hate. Not enough. Oh yeah, okay. This is great. This is fucking great.
Oh wait. Oh, hold on. Let me see. Hold on.
I'll put it in the Jack
Discord.
Oil solves everything. Yeah.
I will pop it up on screen for us. Open link.
I do like how she couldn't even give us a good example the moment that she was talking about it, because it's like at the moment that she is talking about her cleavage being shown, we're looking at her ankles and then her wrists.
Yeah. I'm sorry, this is Fairy Tail we're talking about, and this is the best scene you can come up with?
I haven't literally all Fairy Tail characters been in compromising. What about what's her face? Cordelia, that constantly swaps between her I can't remember her name. Maybe I'm getting her wrong. Of course, you left out Gray MF Fullbuster. Yeah, no, everyone's talking.
Yeah.
Everyone's pulling out the Gray reference, and it's like, okay, great. Fucking hell.
This is the male gaze, right? You could argue that both these characters are fan servicey because of their costumes being revealing, but the reason Lucy gets a different treatment in the world of the story is because of the male gaze.
This shot is especially egregious. I don't know. It seems...
I think that it's a better example than what she had seen.
Yeah, than the other one.
Than what she'd shown us.
Better,
like, literally
but
just before.
It's nowhere near as bad as it could have been. Like, they could have made it even worse if they were really trying to lean into it. Like, they could have hiked up the skirt and that kind of thing.
True,
Like,
but I can understand this one a lot more. It's a little bit more of like a baseline fan service.
Yeah, it's not as... I'm just like my brain right now is like, where are you taking this? And it's like, oh, okay, I guess.
But again, is this the best you can come up with? All the freaking fan servicey scenes in Fairy Tail, and this is the best.
Maybe she's got a BDSM fetish and just focusing on the chains and shackles. Oh yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, maybe. No, I would say that this one is probably a lot worse because, like, her skirt already is as hiked up as it can be without showing anything.
Right.
And her ass is just on full display in front of the frame, and that is, right, I guess, to show. Like, it's a difficult thing because you want your art to be dynamic. And not be boring and flat, but you also want to be able to show that the character is in a compromising position. So, like, the most simple explanation, the most simple solution, for that would be to have the character like this, where the ass is in frame like that because it is dynamic, because further away from means that she's smaller, she's also more vulnerable.
Yeah, I'm being that moment. I'm gonna... Is there a way I can...
dear.
Lag. All right.
Lag.
Let's try if I do slightly smaller. MHA did a joke about Ochiko's hero fit being tight. Yeah, she commented to change it. Like, she's allowed to make that comment. Did I do a 1080? I didn't do a 1080. Yeah, I did this, which also means I need to, which also I think gets rid of the freaking foyer.
There's literally a fight Fairy Tail where all the females on the Fandom tag team have a pimp. She could have used that scene. There's that scene in Fairy Tail that I think most people have complained about, which is I think the scene where Urza gets tortured or whatever by something, and the camera shots, and she was naked in that scene, which isn't necessarily props during that scene, were like sexually suggestive. They were trying to convey, kind of like a sort of like similar issue to Ian and other things we out. So
I gotta wonder why this person isn't complaining about Fairytale instead of
yeah, categorically worse. But
there it is.
Like, I know I think I worst, so it was
same thing.
Okay, sorry about
this. It does
make
folks. Me wonder, but yeah, I mean, I get where he is the butt. I'm a comedian, guys, and MHA season maybe 2021 was made.
No, because she's a
lag. Or it should be. But I can answer some of the chats that are coming. It's just characters. The dragon with little string magic is Grover, which we can censor him. This is nothing. Why not that?
Actually, to Tanya, I don't like this naked torture away. Yeah, I told that before. That scene was bad. It wasn't even like. Oh, is it?
You missed technical.
Goddamn, dude.
YouTube is not. What if I lower? So the
yeah.
Speaking of, I'm actually on Discord. Like, within weeks, it was announced that's shutting down.
Oh, so our stream seems like, because I'm trying to have a nice thing.
We have nice things.
I wish. Yeah, but I use OBS, so I don't really.
This is OBS. So what really gets me to me is company export the best thing for you know what? Wearing just be out of work. I'll fix her up. Let me turn off the cakey for now. There, we don't need to adjust anyone.
Perfect. Praise the lag, except. Oh, sheesh. Giga lag breaker.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's how this topic window. Do I not have that up? I don't.
I mean, that's kind of how it was like when I tried to change Takara for the not for Jacked, but I think for my own personal streams. I tried to change her up, but something went wrong, and I just ended up going back to how she regularly looked. And I managed to fix it now because she's obviously looking different.
Oh, wow, why is it lagging so much? This is skip frames said last a few seconds ago. Yes, lower your encoder settings preset. Make sure you don't have any other applications open that are heavier in you. Where are my encoders? Sensitivity, stream, video, encoder settings. Ah! Oh, difficulty, guys. Enable performance mode in the edit context menu. Yeah, wait. Okay, remote control, virtual webcam, multi-streaming, stream, out,